Welcome to the millennium. What better way to celebrate with all things unicorn? Sure, nowadays you can fill your unicorn hole with unicorn cupcakes, unicorn cakes, graze on unicorn cereal. But you'd better hoof it if you want to jockey yourself into trying the latest in pop-up shops and their unicorn hot chocolate or Starbucks unicorn frappes. You can paint with all the colors of the glittery rainbow with unicorn eyeshadows now too. Now that I've said unicorn so many times, I am bored. With all of these rainbows and unicorns, you'd think we'd be all over the rainbow by now, especially after that unicorn obsession in the 1980s. But as you will see, it's time to get back in the saddle again and allow these mythical creatures to fly free once again. Oh wait, unicorns don't fly. Alicorns do. We are just getting started. Pony on up, it's time to learn some Unicorn 101 and prove once and for all the unicorns are real, despite the naysayers. Well, maybe I can't prove that they are all real, but I can prove that we can find them in art and what their meanings were. The unicorn is predominantly a Western phenomenon, though in Asian folklore there is an alternate version known as the Kirin, which has 2 horns.
But now let us transition into our first set of pieces, which is a series of 7 tapestries located at the Cloisters Museum of Art.
These tapestries are generally 12 feet tall and up to 14 feet wide. Shown here we see noble men with a team of huntsmen and hounds, along with some other animals like pheasants, are displayed an unfolding narrative, which is considered to be the number for perfection in Christianity, the number 7. And they are depicting an allegory of the hunt, capture, and death and resurrection of the holy mythical creature, much like the beliefs centered around Jesus Christ. Woven on an enormous loom from wool and silk thread, some of which was wrapped in silver and gold. Chemical analysis has revealed the 3 dye plants used to create these vibrant colors were madder for red, woad for blue, and weld for yellow. The pieces were both secular and religious, a duality common in the Middle Ages, when unicorns symbolized Christianity, immortality, wisdom, lovers, and even marriage. These tapestries incorporate familiar aspects of the unicorn lore into traditional medieval hunt, which was a common practice during the Gothic period. The unicorn depicted here is bearded with cloven hooves, and its pearly white mane represented spiritual purity. In one panel entitled "The Unicorn is Found," the creature dips its appendage into a stream. Research says, making the water safe for men and others to drink. The character's poses, facial expressions, clothing, and hair resemble those of Parisian prints and miniature paintings from that time period, leading historians to believe a French designer conceived the hangings and sent the designs to Brussels. Far outweighing the facts are countless unanswered questions, primarily concerning with the meaning behind the tapestries and where they came from, and their patronage. While the recurring monogram may have indicated the creator of these pieces made from the letters A and E, which appeared to be tied together with a knotted cord. The initials often appear at the work's center, its 4 corners, and sometimes on the dog's collars, and in other discrete places in these works. There are 3 general theories around this mark. One, that it is derived from the first and last letters of someone's name. 2, that it signifies Adam and Eve, and 3, that it identifies Anne of Brittany, a major patron of the arts. During the French Revolution, one of the 7 tapestries was looted and damaged. In the 6th panel, the unicorn is carried by a horse. A thorn wreath is around the unicorn's neck, and its broken horn is representing possibly the crown of thorns. In the last tapestry, the unicorn is resurrected. It is tied by a golden chain, representing the ties of marriage. Over 100 different types of plants and flower species are represented vividly with this realism. The men encircle and look at the unicorn in wonder. The trees and foliage encircle the unicorn, directing the eye to the central figure in each plane. Warm and deep reds, creams, and greens are used evenly throughout the capture of the unicorn to create balance. The figures are somewhat flat in appearance, though the use of 3/4 view is employed due to lack of chiaroscuro. Some realism is used, however not enough to give it true realism, as awe-striking as these images are, vivid with color. The unicorn seems to be bowing with humility, as if to represent Christ's humility. There were some theological complications with the use of the temptation of the unicorn in using a virgin's irresistible purity as bait. The Council of Trent later rejected the use of the unicorn as an allegory for Christ, and it has since dissipated from being used in artworks then on. For us in current times, we could interpret these works as a means of escaping reality. However, during medieval times, they were possibly not just symbolic, but considered real, not elusive animals. Difficult to find, much like God, so they warranted your utter faith in their existence. While the existence of unicorns was discredited by the end of the 16th century, the creature had already secured a cultural stronghold in artistic depictions. Next we have Raphael's Portrait of a Lady with a Unicorn, created circa 1505. Here we have a female figure with a familiar expression and poise, so it is obvious why some art historians believe this portrait by Italian Renaissance master Raphael was inspired by the Mona Lisa. The identity of Raphael's captivating virginal woman is uncertain, and it is hypothesized it was commissioned for a wedding. In the 1950s, X-rays revealed that a lapdog had originally been painted where the unicorn now sits. While the lapdog was a symbol of fidelity commonly associated with marriage, the covering of the lapdog with the image of a unicorn represented virginity or chastity. Scholars and historians disagree on whether Raphael's substitution symbolizes that the engagement fell apart or simply indicates the subject's purity. The woman's figure is highlighted and pale, making her the central focus. Deep reds are used throughout the image to create balance and unity. Yellows and creams are utilized throughout the pillars, clothing, and skin tones. Atmospheric perspective is also seen in the background. Use of chiaroscuro is evident in the entire piece, in the woman's features, and the unicorn also. The female clenches the unicorn's hooves, seeming to control or ensnare it as hers. Last, we look at an oil on canvas by the realism artist Gustave Moreau, Les Licornes, The Unicorns, created in 1887. This piece was commissioned by Edmond de Rothschild. The theme of this painting was inspired by the famous tapestries of La Dame à la Corne. These tapestries are different from the tapestries covered in this video. In In the distance is a ship and possibly a small gazebo. Again, there seems to be more women in the background also. Though blurry, there is a blue haze over the objects in the background, creating atmospheric perspective. In the Unicorns painting, Moreau presents a scene in which 3 unicorns nestle around the women. The lily that one of the women holds is symbolizing purity, and the unicorns gracefully accept the women's embrace. The figures lounge in the foliage of what Moreau described as a magical island of puritanical women, reminiscent of the sirens of Greek mythology in my mind. The women are laden with jewelry and flowing velvet gowns. On them are delicate depictions of animals and epic combats, including St. George and the dragon. In chains of gold, red and silver, tied onto the colors and the unicorn neck pieces, creating more balance throughout the piece. Is it possible that the chalice in the right-hand corner is the Holy Grail? Maybe so. Throughout, the artists use reds and greens, complementary colors, while enhancing key figures using light tones. The oil on canvas painting is based on the French Lady and the Unicorn tapestries, which was a series of 6 Flemish tapestries depicting the senses. They are estimated to have been woven in the 15th century and in the style of Millefleurs.